comes inside, maybe cable has ruptured, maybe the module is not generating, maybe some sparks happening. So a sector can develop for monitoring this project, maybe from a remote place. The SCADA can be there, the data can go up to from the SMB level, that is string monitoring box level, and then somebody sitting on the remote can monitor each and every string and then give service to the developers. So that can also be one of the things which I foresee that may be required. So this solar project throws a lot of service requirements in the market that can be met, and of course this is a future way. No industry can think that we cannot do without solar, because in India also we have seen that we have a target of 100 gigawatts, and NTPC has commitment for 10,000 megawatt, or say 10 gigawatts for by 2019. So we have a long way to go, and more power plants will come, and more requirements will be there. So it is always an expanding market, and more scope will be generated in course of time. So that's the only thing I wanted to say, and that's all. We can have a discussion after this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kamath. And I think the experience from NTPC, I think, is very welcome, because here you have brought out the points regarding the maintenance side, services from the solar power point of view, because the myth is that you just put up the solar PV and it will start working. I think, but here you have brought out that how Government of India through Ministry of Power, NTPC started with 1 megawatt to 5, and now we are looking at 250 and 1000 megawatt solar energy power plants, and that's a huge, and that's a good investment where private sector can also enter as the service providers, because there will be a lot of ancillary services market that will emerge. And I think we have EY with us. Sometime the study would come up saying that what's the size of this market as of now. Might be, I'm not aware of that, but might be there are studies which are happening on this. With this, I thank to all my panelists for their views. But we open the floor now for questions, because we have 15 minutes with us, and with all the experience from US, from India, from Ministry of Power through NTPC, may I request if some of you have certain questions, my colleagues can help you with the mic, and please introduce yourself and the question, and to whom in the panel you want to ask the question. So we have the gentleman at the end, and then followed by that to you.
I am H.S. Sharma, IIT Bombay, first batch graduate, 1963, M.Tech from Imperial College, London. I want to give to this August ground reality on climate change. It took 1 million years for nature to raise the CO2 level in atmosphere to 200 ppm. Human intervention, within 100 years, it has raised to 400 ppm. At that high CO2 level, whatever crops will grow will have no nutrition. Please remember all these things. We are not discussing it at all. Okay. The Earth's temperature will rise by 8 degrees. Snow in Siberia has melted. Underneath is vegetation, which is emitting methane, whose global warming potential is 25, as against one of CO2. Do you have any answers? Okay. The crop will not grow. Please listen to me. Let me finish. Please, let me finish first. Give me 2 minutes for my seniority.
It's okay, but we need you to ask question, please.
Per capita, yeah, these are questions for all of you. 25 tons of hothouse gases are emitted in USA per capita. India, it is 1 ton. USA is the biggest culprit in these hothouse gases. And every time they shied away. Never, even Kyoto Protocol is not legalized in USA. Please listen. Millions of Bangladeshi will come to live in this country. The Uttarakhand will be depopulated. Himachal will be depopulated. China will not allow them. Their area will be drowned. You are not listening to the reality of life. In Maldives Island, 8 islands have drowned. 300,000 applied for migration to Australia. These are some of the dark realities of climate change. which we don't discuss at all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. We have noted your concerns. I think we take more questions, and then I think the panel will answer on to that as well. Yes, sir, please. Can we have the mic, please, on the front table? Yeah.
Thanks for the panel for interesting presentations. My name is Rami Sharaf. I'm Senior Vice President for Royal Group of Companies in Cambodia. I have a question for Mr. Leonard. The first question is, with the drop of oil price from 100 plus to 30 plus or almost 40, investors and those who were thrilled about the renewable in general is looking at it as, less and less attractive or sexy, as we say. So this is one point. A question to Mr. Goha, which is, with all the research that you have and the very encouraging results on the ground, my question is the supply mainly domestic? I mean, are these solar farms produced in India and installed in India, or this is imported and put in? And if it is domestic, we as a group in Cambodia, we have our own projects. We are developing an island, and we know that eco-friendly or green businesses are now one of the differentiators and actually one of the hot branding aspects for any business that you come with when you say that my project is green. So, and also for the audience here, if any of you is into the solar business in India, I'll be here, and please contact me so we can explore. And the third question is the role of Exim Bank in India. We know that if I buy something from the US, previously one of the companies I represented was John Deere. And we had some deal of sugarcane harvesters, and the question in the US, when I met with the guys in DC, they said, as long as your deal generates jobs in the US, Exim Bank can help in financing. So the question is the Indian Exim Bank, in case we want to adapt some of the expertise or the products, the core products, can help in that, or maybe the government itself to help export the knowledge and the products.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine. So may I request Mr. Leonard to start with you, and then Mr. Goa. And in case Kamath Sahab, if you have any solution on the Exim Bank side, if you have any experience, or we will take this question later. Okay, yeah.
Great, excellent. Thank you for your questions. First, I think it's absolutely right that we need to remember the relative responsibility of different countries for getting us into the situation that we face ourselves. And the United States is the world's largest historical emitter of climate-harming gases, period. And even today is the #2 emitter after China. And even more important than that is the point that the gentleman made about per capita emissions. The United States economy is an inefficient economy when it comes to energy. And part of that is what's reflected in the report that I showed. The reason why there's $780 billion worth of profit to be secured in the United States is because there's a lot of energy waste, which is reflected in the large per capita emissions. But also it's an economy that is sort of overly dependent on consumption, and I think that's an issue that we need to take on in the United States for sure. But I think we're in a position now where the world needs to come together and take advantage of the efficiencies, the economies of scale, and the speed that we can achieve by working together to solve this problem. So we both need to maintain a focus and understanding of responsibility, but we also need to move beyond it in the sense of working together because we need everyone to solve this problem. On the issue of oil prices, I think that it's a mixed blessing. it's a mixed story. On the one hand, what the drop in oil prices has resulted in is many of the riskiest, most environmentally damaging oil projects are no longer viable at very low, oil prices. So whether it's tar sands or risky offshore oil drilling in the Arctic, or some of the places where we need to move most quickly away from fossil fuel development, the low oil prices help move investors out of those projects. I think the low oil price is also an opportunity for governments to lock in the influence of higher oil prices through policy. So what you saw China do is put in place a government-mandated price floor on oil, so that regardless of how low the price goes, the effective price in the market will never go below, effectively $40 a barrel, and in the process use the incremental difference between the current oil price and that floor, and they use it for investments in green development. So I think, and President Obama provided a similar suggestion for the U.S. in his budget to Congress. Unfortunately, Congress will not pass that suggestion, but I think that you see the opportunities that are presented, but also, as you say, with cheaper oil, it's less related to renewables and electricity, at least in many countries, because oil is not the fossil fuel that's driving electricity generation, right? That's coal and natural gas, but it does affect transportation, and that's an important driver of greenhouse gas emissions. Thanks.
Mr. Goa, please, your views.
The second question of yours was basically the renewable energy infrastructure. Are these all getting built in India at all? It actually varies. It's open, and it's basically the business case that drives it. Suppose some components may be brought in from outside. The assembly can be happening in certain cases over here in India, and in certain cases, if you talk about biomass as a renewable source, these gasifiers and all, they are getting built in India itself. But if you go to wind or maybe solar, there are components that are getting imported from outside, and there, basically the market prices is actually dictating the particular transaction.
So for such a huge, ambitious goals, in India itself, we don't have that to go with that scale.
I think Mr. Kamath can add over here, because they are setting up big solar VP plants. Yeah.
Okay. So far as solar is concerned, solar PV, this is a part of Making India also, our Prime Minister's ambitious program. So in that we say, okay, but we see that there's a limitation in manufacturing in India. So we keep a very small percentage of the solar PV projects in Making India, or say DCR, we call domestic content requirement, that category. And in that category, we are saying, okay, modules should be manufactured in India, or maybe cells of the PV plant should be manufactured in India. So that is one part. But the issue is, again, in solar PV project, apart from modules, cells, in the modules there are many things, like glass, that is being imported. We were discussing yesterday only with all the solar PV manufacturers. They are saying glass they are importing. The frame which the module is having, that is being imported. The back sheet is being imported. The EVA, that's a transparent sheet in front of the module below the glass, that is imported. So many things are imported. So we are not considering per se any difference between imported or domestic. So it is all a mixed kind of thing. And another thing which I want to add is the difference between the domestic and the international prices are also coming down. Like in domestic, we understand that the prices may be more, and the outside may be cheap. That's why the developers are going out. But that difference is also coming down, because the Indian manufacturers are coming up in a big way, and then once that situation is available, we can eliminate all these restrictions of domestic requirement, and we can have international competitive bidding, and we can have a best plant here. Maybe manufactured in India, maybe outside.
Okay.
I think,
Sir,
yeah.
your views are not correct, if I intervene.
Okay.
The price of,
Just a sec, please.
if
Please.
you permit, sir, your views
No,
are
it's
not
okay.
correct.
Let others also speak, sir. Please.
But
Please let him complete. It's a dialogue going on. I